Hello everybody, come join our live interview. Give a few seconds for all of you to tune in and catch up on what we're doing next here, our interesting series of war and healing and trauma and ayahuasca and PTSD. We're here in University of Texas, Austin, participating on the conference of SSDP, the Students for Sensible Drug Policy Conference. Allison is behind the cameras. She's Vice President of SSDP. I want to congratulate you guys for this awesome initiative. And I'm here with my friend and colleague, Eric Glover. Thanks, Eric, for participating in this live interview. Eric was reluctant, but I kind of talked his way in because I think he has an important message to share with the world. He has gone through a lot and he has much to say. So I want to share with our audience. Can you just start by introducing yourself and telling a little bit about your story?
Sure. Hi, my name's Eric Glover. I'm 47 years old. I lived here in Austin for about 25 years. And my journey started in New Jersey when I was a child. I had a very wonderful upbringing and home life. And then my brother was killed in a car accident. And my mom passed away a week later, which really devastated my life and my family, and kind of sent me into a tailspin for some years in my teens, which eventually landed me in the military.
Why did you join the military?
Well, despite the heroic answers, I had just been in a house fire in Maryland, and was without a job, without money, and without a place to live, and really looking for a solution. And the military met all those needs, and it was a Cold War army with Russia then, so there was not the world of terrorism that we live in today.
And what did you sign up to do in the military?
Well, I was gonna be a aerial reconnaissance photographer out of helicopters, but I signed up for the infantry instead, because they offered me a little bonus, and of course lots of weapons to play with. So I became a grunt, as we call ourselves in the infantry, and went off to Fort Benning, Georgia in 1989.
What is a grunt?
A grunt is an esteemed term that we infantry have for ourselves to help us make do and thrive in our bottom of the barrel experience, which often is living in the field and being on the battlefield and doing the dirtier work, so to speak.
So did you end up having to do that dirty work or go to war or something?
Yes, I was. It was, like I said, it was a Cold War army, and then Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, and we got put on call up at Fort Hood, and I was mechanized infantry with Bradleys and attached to an armor unit. So we were put on alert and went over there in October, and basically sat around training in the desert, moving our way slowly to the Kuwait border, which we eventually breached with the 2nd Marines in the ground war, which lasted about 5 or 6 days. And my role then was to dismounted infantry. We would get out, do operations on the ground, disabling armored units, capturing enemy prisoners of war, engaging elements, and assisting our armored vehicles in ground operations.
I know that you don't like to talk much about this stuff, and I blame you, and I don't blame you. And I just wondered, can you share whatever you feel it's okay about the experience of doing those things in your body?
Yeah. One thing to note is, up until about 2.5 years ago, these experiences for me in my memory was a big adrenaline rush. The bravado, the toughness, all of that with being a soldier and a strong, tough person, that's the wave I rode until I realized that the exposures that I had, which the ones that really stuck with me were just the carnage and the obliteration that we did to the Iraqi forces and their convoys, the carnage within Kuwait City and around Kuwait, the amount of dead bodies and just it was it affects you. You don't get away with being around or being involved. My biggest memories are just scenes from that, and also some intimate moments with older Iraqi soldiers. This one man who was like a grandfather and spoke to me in English, and I had a very intimate connection with him, which was a point where I realized, what the F am I doing here? This man is a beautiful, gentle being extending me peace in our conversation, and it really caused me to look at what I was doing and what I was a part of. And then we went outside Kuwait City and we sat on a hill full of bomblets and bunkers and cleaned up after the ground war, where I didn't really sleep for 4 days. And I don't want to go into all that. And
we don't have to, but perhaps you can tell us, how did you start like reflecting about these things and thinking about your own story and the stuff you had done?
Well, I realized I kind of went into the war, after losing my mom and my brother. I was in a very fragile state, and I'm a very sensitive person. And I didn't really know all of this because I was protecting myself and surviving. And when I got out of the military, I actually entered into a Christian experience and thrived in that place of spiritual seeking for some years, as myself eventually began to break down and unravel. I was married and drinking a lot, and life wasn't working for me. And so through a course of divorce and a lot of other things in my life falling apart, I came to the plant medicines, which really opened up parts of me that I discovered needed attention, that I was suppressing.
Were you diagnosed with PTSD? Is that how you guys call it?
Yes. I guess I first went into therapy when I was married to try and save my marriage, and despite me wanting to admit this and realize this has just been my path, I've been diagnosed with multiple PTSD from my war experiences and a lot of other violent experiences that just kind of roll up into a ball. Among with other things, ADD and addictions that I struggle with, and just a lot of emotional
Seems very, very brave to go drink ayahuasca when you have all those things going on.
Well, people like me get very desperate, and I did a lot of therapy and EMDR and other trauma treatments and spiritual pursuits and Sufism. All of these very beautiful and very helpful, but deep within me, something I could not access. And with the help of some plants on my own, some of the trauma began to come up in my body, most initially, shaking and tremoring. And then I went to therapy at a combat counseling center in the VA, and had a wonderful woman there, Narda, that helped me explore all of this. And during that time also, I felt really called to go to Peru and drink ayahuasca. At that time, it was a calling for me and my little sister. And we never went together. But that was the beginning of a big opening journey for me with traditional plant medicines and the traditions from these parts of the world, which I thank you for being such a crusader about.
Yeah, well, it's I have a lot of admiration for this, courage to go into this space. Just wondering what it is really like to be on your body and have experienced all you have and ask for help in the plants, and how did you get that help? And
well, for me, in this, I was really seeking. I was looking into dark room retreats, breath work, other things to get into a lower level of my consciousness where I knew things were and that manifested in my body. So I went to Peru on an ayahuasca retreat in San Pedro cactus, and it was a hammer that cracked me like a nut, and I had an extremely powerful experience of unconscious material and trauma and memories just rushing out. in a very supportive environment. And these are what the plants do. I believe the earth has provided us the tools that help our psyche, our spirit, our body. And these are plants like ayahuasca from the Shipibo tradition. I have been very privileged to work with Shipibo shamans and also Huichol shamans from Mexico in visiting both of these places in their lands and sharing in their tradition and in their medicine. And it opens up the places that our intellect and our mind can't access, and eventually opens the heart up it allows the mind to process, integrate, and settle or complete what the plants begin. And that's kind of where I am now after 2 years. I met Bia 2 years ago when I was deep in my initial process with the medicine, and it was very, very difficult. And I've come a long way, and I have a lot to thank you for, Bia, for sticking with me and all of my reactions, dealing with my own things. And now my own healing with the plants is to bring it to other people. You know, our world is in turmoil, and people are in turmoil, and they're lost, and they're lonely, and they have a lot of pain and a lot of childhood traumas that they don't know what to do with. And our psychological system is failing us in the sense that people are not healing adequately enough in a timely manner. And I look at what I've done in 2 years. There are so many people like me that have nowhere to turn. They're drug addicts and alcoholics and stuck in addictions. And man, I've been there, and it's my healing now is to bring it to people, to give this away and tell my story. And as much as I want to hide away and not do that, there are thousands and millions of people out there waiting to hear this message, to get this medicine, and receive what the planet and the creation has given to us. And so I just thank you, Bia, all you do, all the work you've done, the support that I've enjoyed with Carlos and Roberta and all these others. It saved my life. I'm on the end of a 2-year period where life is very different, very, very different. And I haven't drank for over 6 years, and I'm here giving away. And to give myself away is a service that I want to do with these plants for healing, for people's emotional and spiritual growth. And I'm just in awe.
Hey man, there's nothing to thank. It's me that thank you for sharing your story. It's always nice to see a strong, muscly guy with tears in his eyes that are human beings like all of us and don't have to prove too much to the world. We keep on reporting from Chacruna. Chacruna wants to, visit the global sphere of psychedelics with an accent, with the outsider's perspective, and share the stories of people, share research content, share activism, keep you posted, and help spread understanding, spread compassion, spread knowledge, spread informed scientific perspectives. And we're here to tell the world that there's much to learn with these traditions and much to be respected, and to combat the drug war and find beautiful people and beautiful stories and keep on spreading a positive message to everybody. And thanks for hearing us. Thanks for telling your story.
Thank
and
you.
A big hug.
Thanks, Peter.